AgroTV ekranlarında ben Burcu Çetinkaya, Tarım Elçisi programında Estonya'nın Talin şehrindeyiz ve Go Global Awards 2022 yılı programı ve ödül töreni için buraya geldik. Aynı zamanda da burada tarımla ilgili bulunan özellikle agritech konusunda birkaç tane firmamız var ve bununla ilgili söz sahibi olan dünyanın farklı ülkelerinden ticaret ajansları ve yatırım ajanslarıyla da sizler için görüşmeler ve bazı röportajlar yaptık. Tarım Elçisi başlıyor. AgroTV ekranlarında Tarım Elçisi programında Estonya'nın başkenti Talin'den sizlere sesleniyoruz. Şu anda Go Global Awards etkinliğindeyiz ve burada dünyanın birçok yerinden farklı sektörlerde başarılı firmalar, dünyanın birçok ülkesinden yatırım ajansları ve ticaret ajansları var ve yine bizim konumuza bizi direkt olarak ilgilendiren tarımla ilgili bir hem ticari agritech şirketi hem de aynı zamanda birçok farklı ürün üreten şirket Bugbox'ın CEO'su ve kurucusu Bay Erland Sind yanımda ve kendisine hikayesini soracağız. Hello Mr. Sind, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
So could you please introduce yourself and Bugbox, your company? What are you doing? What are you producing?
I'd love to. So my name is Erland. I'm a CEO and the founder of company Bugbox. And what we have done, we have digitalized edible insect farming. So why digitalizing? Because we see that this is an only way how we can really impact alternative protein production globally when we make the technology, farming and production technology, available to every entrepreneur, not just specific farms.
So how can you, how can you do this? What are the processes to go through that?
Oh, there is many processes, and what we have done, we have pre-programmed all those farming processes, food deliveries, maintenance, and production processes. So the insect farming doesn't seem any complicated process for anyone.
And why do we need insect farming?
That's a very good question. The global population is growing, so we are having more people on the planet Earth, so they all need more food. And it has been calculated that we need 70% of more food from now. So, but more people means more ready food, more animals to consume as a food, and when we have more people, we need more pets. So pets are carnivores, they all need proteins, and the question is about how we can manage to produce more proteins, what we need.
And you are saying that the solution lies in producing insects?
True, because the insects are the only alternative for a common farming to getting alternative animal proteins.
And how about, I'm sure there is very good answers to it, but people might have questions because they don't know it very well. Are insects edible, for example, for humans? I remember that when I'm running, sometimes I eat mosquitoes by mistake. And when I was feeling, oh my God, I just swallowed a mosquito, they told me, don't worry, it's protein. So shall we worry about eating insects or not?
It's a very good question. Thank you for questioning that. Insects are the greatest population on the planet Earth. There are more than 1 million different species of insects, but only 2,000 are edible for humans and harmful. So there is a very same rule is laying as berries and mushrooms. Don't eat that one which you don't know specifically that is edible. So it's easy to trust when it's produced in, for example, European Union or in some other developed countries, they are accepted. And there is a food security issue starts actually from the feed, what you are giving to insects as a food. So they are cold-blooded creatures and they are basically what they do eat. So the feed must be very pure and controlled, then it's safe.
So what is the feed for insects?
For crickets, what we do farm and our technology allows to farm, they do eat only green stuff. So we actually take green industry side products like potato peels, uneven carrots, cabbage leaves, broccoli residues, and we pelletize that we store it, and then our technology can deliver specific and precise amount of food into the rearing units as a feed.
I want to see the products that you brought here, or if you have any other products, you could tell us about them. So what are the products we are seeing on the table to begin with?
Good question. I would love to show you.
Yes.
If this is, for example, a cricket individual which is farmed in our rearing reactor, then when they are ready and harvested, it's a model just to showing the model how they are farmed. But let it be. This is dried crickets. They don't have legs, antennas, legs, and this is what we do mill.
Why they don't have antennas and legs?
We have shifted that, and all antennas, legs, and wings are here. And this is another tradable commodity, which is pure organic chitin. And from chitin, you can really, it's very useful, for example, for a cosmetic industry. You can make a keratin, chitosan for that, and this is organic, not chemical one. Yeah. That's commodity, right?
But is this edible like this?
Yes, these insects are edible. They are just dried. You may try one. I just show you.
I will go on with the other one.
They are very edible and very tasty. Yeah, but we grind them to the flour, and this is a commodity which is widely tradable. Okay. It can be used for a human food as an ingredient to increase nutrition value. But the major market is definitely on the feed market, using animal protein as a fish feed ingredient for poultries, for pigs, and definitely for a pet food. Because cats, for example, are carnivores, pure carnivores. They need to get animal protein. So these are the main markets where the demand for animal protein is very, very high.
I don't want to refuse your food, so I will try this one. What's inside? What's inside this one?
This is actually alternative meat product, which is made from plants, and we added insect protein 10% here.
So now I'm eating kind of crickets.
You are eating meat product which has no meat inside, but it has a very similar nutrition value as a real meat.
But it has crickets inside.
Yes, cricket powder. This very powder inside. Yes, that's true.
What other products you have? Do you have other products that we don't see here?
Yes and no. We have dried insects, we have a powder, we have a chitin, and can you guess what it is in here? It's very similar like a powder, but it's a little bit different.
No, I cannot. What is it?
It is also residues which we collect during the farming and rearing process. All feces, as crickets living on vertical surfaces, all feces are dropping down. All food residues from those pellets are dropping down on the floor. Dead individuals, there will be some few dead individuals. We're collecting them. The constant cleaning process is going on, and this is all residues. We collect, we dry it, 70 degrees, 1 hour as it per legislation, and we grind it. And this is organic fertilizer, which can be used in the greenhouses, on the fields, and this is another tradable commodity as well. So our production has no residues. It's zero waste production.
And is it costly to feed these crickets? Is it costly to start this facility?
What we feed them, let's start from them. It's actually kind of side products and the residue, which in European Union it is a cost for a producer. So you need to utilize it. So cooperating with the insect farms, you can actually get rid of from your utilized residues, and it costs almost nothing. But the main cost is, of course, energy cost. So insects need a higher temperature, around 30 degrees constantly. So it's another circular economy business model what we can apply using from other industry heat energy, which is auxiliary. We use this heat energy heating up the water, what we use to heat up the environment for insects. So.
And what does the temperature need to be around?
Around 20, 22, 19, it depends. It's not making very much difference, but it's rather normal house temperature.
And what are your company targets for the next 5-10 years?
Becoming largest insect farming technology provider in the world. So we see that the only impact really in a protein market can be achieved when there are hundreds or thousands of insect farms.
But you keep saying that you want to become the largest technology provider for insect farming. So you don't want to have the biggest insect farms.
No.
You want to spread the technology.
Exactly. Because this is the only way how we can really make an impact on the protein market.
How about producing yourself? Do you have plans to produce and export yourself?
In terms of provide technology, we need to have a factory somewhere where the customers can come and really convince themselves that this is a technology I want to purchase, to own, to employ. So yes, we will have demo factories in Europe, in the United States, in Asia. So yes, but we don't see ourselves as a trading on open market. So we rather sell the demo factory product also directly to the business customers. So but technology is our aim.
And is there any message you want to tell to our spectators from the Turkish agricultural industry or from the Azerbaijan agriculture industry?
Yeah, definitely. Anyone who is listening us, I'm saying that this is an innovation. And circular economy models and alternative proteins, which we still naming alternatives, are becoming very soon as a normal tradable commodity, and they are not going to be alternatives anymore. So innovation will be here very soon. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sen.
Thank you for your interest. Thank you.
Evet, bu arkadaşların tadına bakamadım ama bunların ezilmiş halinin tadına baktım. Hiç de fena değildi karışımlarıyla beraber. Ve tekrar sizler için ufak bir tarım günlüğü yapmaya, Tarım Elçisi programında Go Global Awards'daki tarım konulu firmaları ziyaret etmeye devam ediyoruz. Şu anda yanımda Rhode Island'dan Secretary Tanner var ve kendisine tabii ki kendisinin ana konusu tarım olmamakla beraber bütün iş konularıyla ilgilendiği için kendisine hem Amerika Birleşik Devletleri'nde iş yapmayı soracağız hem de onun alanı olan blockchain teknolojilerini soracağız. Hello Secretary Tanner, how are you?
Thank you very much for having me. Pleasure to be here.
It's a pleasure to get a chance to speak in private with you. It was a very wonderful speech that you had. The panel was about doing business in the United States of America, and you gave us quite an insight on doing business in Rhode Island. And I remember Rhode Island from my memories. Last time I was there was in the year 2000. I had a lot of friends from Rhode Island School of Design, from Bryant University. But I want to ask you, for our spectators who are especially in the agricultural industry, but also they are in the food industry and they are interested into trade or investments in and out of US, Turkey, or specifically in Rhode Island. What are your recommendations? Why they should choose Rhode Island, and what do you recommend them to do if they are interested in doing business in Rhode Island?
Well, thank you so much for asking. And it's been fascinating to me how many people have been to Rhode Island. Rhode Island is America's smallest state, but everybody who's been there remembers it with great fondness because it is just absolutely beautiful. I spoke earlier of the sunsets and sunrises, and they are truly remarkable. That said, Rhode Island is really a special place. Because it's Rhode Island's smallest state and it's conveniently located between Boston and New York, we like to make sure that everyone understands that we are conveniently located so that you can have access to both the Boston talent and the New York talent, as well as all of the many colleges and universities that are in Rhode Island, as well as it's far more reasonably priced to both live and work in Rhode Island, and the quality of life is very, very high where we live.
When I go back to my experience, it's a long time ago, 22 years ago, but when I think of Boston, New York, and then I think of Rhode Island, I go to Rhode Island, I mean, as if life is easier. So if I'm a foreigner who wants to invest or who wants to do trade to the US and to do it to Rhode Island seems, I don't know, cozier, nicer, easier. Am I right?
You're absolutely right. You know, one of the beauties of a small state is that everybody knows everybody. So if I don't know the person who you need to connect with, somebody else will, and we'll make that connection very easily. There's not huge levels of bureaucracy for you to go to, and you have access to all of the beauty of all of New England in our spot. One of the other great things about Rhode Island is not just our rail service, you know, of course, automobile with a major highway going through it, and our airport that's frequently rated as one of the most convenient to fly in and out of is our ports. You know, so we have a huge port and several ports in Rhode Island that you can send your products to, and that's really great for our international partners.
And I know that you are very, very much of an expert in blockchain. So I want to ask about blockchain and agriculture. I know that food security in the world is one of our biggest problems wherever you are in the world. And there are a lot of articles, there are a lot of studies, and it's already starting now to use blockchain to be able to trace the food security and the produced goods actually from A to Z. So what do you think about this? What do you think will be the role of blockchain in agriculture in the future?
Well, first, let's say, I don't know if I'm an expert, but I certainly know quite a bit about it, just because we've been looking at how we can make it easier to do business for blockchain in Rhode Island. And so one of the key things that we looked at was the distributed ledger technology and those early leaders who made it so easy to be able to track foods. So in particular, I'm thinking about the lettuce bags that have a QR code, and once scanned, you know exactly where that bag of lettuce came from, so that if there's any quality issues or any disease that you need to deal with, it just makes it so much easier. Same thing with soup cans. They have the same thing. You can scan a QR code, and then you know exactly which facility it was packaged at. You know, using distributed ledger technology like that is really a souped up Excel spreadsheet, and so to be able to have that information so readily accessible is just a huge win for the agricultural industry as they try to build and grow themselves.
How about the reliability?
I mean, it's interesting because it seems less secure, but it is far more secure, and it's extremely complicated, but it is far more secure, and it provides huge access that they wouldn't normally have had, and they would have had to calculate earlier themselves.
How do you think blockchain will affect the contract models in agricultural production? Do you have?
There's so much there. You know, distributed ledger technology can be used on so many use cases. What I'm starting to see is people who aren't solving problems with it, and they're just using blockchain for the sake of using blockchain. So something with contracts, it's one of those where if you have a problem and blockchain can solve it, that's what it should be used for.
Thank you very much. So Leslie, if you want to say anything to our spectators from Turkey, have you ever been in Turkey?
I have not, but I would say I would love to come and visit you, and we'll have to make sure that happens sometime.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Estonya'da Talin'de yine bir agritech şirketimiz var. Hindistan'dan Neil Jadhav kendisi ve Map Microbe şirketinin kurucusu. Hello, how are you, Neil?
I'm good, thank you.
So can you tell a little bit about yourself and about Map Microbe, the story behind your company?
Okay, so my background, before Map Microbe, 10 years, I ran a GIS company called as Hardcastle GIS, where basically I was processing satellite image. And back in 2020, when COVID happened, I was like, and I owned farming land back in India. So I was like, why not use satellite into agriculture and try to create some innovations? So that's how Map Microbe was born to start with.
And where are you present right now? In which markets, and where are you targeting to expand your business?
So right now, Map Microbe is primarily a US-based company. We are present in US, Canada. We have a development office in India, and very soon we would have an office in Estonia. Right now, we have around 3 million farmers across the world using the application.
Could you tell us, if I'm a farmer and I'm using Map Microbe, what are the services I get from Map Microbe, and what are the advantages of using Map Microbe?
So for a farmer, we've really simplified. You just come onto an application, draw your farm, and within next 30 seconds, we'll give you 150 plus data point. For example, we'll tell you where the good crops, bad crops are, where you need to put water, where you need to put the fertilizer, how much quantity. By using Map My Crop, you'll get two primary advantage. You'll get 30% more output and 40% of input cost saving. Like you'll save 40% on your pesticides, water, and so on. So there's huge upside of using Map My Crop for farmers.
And in the future, are there any extra areas that you could use Map My Crop for?
Yes, so we've already piloting with a company based in Latvia where they want to use Map My Crop to track the forest health quality and map the forest in terms of understanding the tree health. So there's a company called as Single Earth which plants forest, and they are right now using Map My Crop as a pilot to determine the health of the forest. So that could be something which could be a pivot down the line for us, except agriculture.
How about protecting against climate change and protecting our, everywhere around the world we're dealing with forest fires, and this is a quite difficult situation. Could Map My Crop be used for that as well?
Yes. So right now, Map My Crop, let's just talk about in agriculture. What we do, we have a 14-day weather forecast, which on real-time basis, we are tracking the clouds. So let's just say if tomorrow you are growing rice, and if it rains too much, we will not give you an alert. But if you are growing grapes, and if it rains too much, we'll give you an alert that after 3 days, it's going to rain, and you could probably protect. So we call it like a climate mitigation. We really can't control the way the climate is changing due to global warming, but we'll give you advance warning of a certain weather up. That being said, in terms of forest fire, we've already are tracking the last 20 years of data for Map My Crop to do any prediction. Similar, we have the forest fire and other incidents occurred in nature for last 20 years, based on which our AI model would be doing further predictions down the line where a next forest fire could occur based on a certain spike in temperature. So probably down the lines you could see that as a reality.
Lastly, are you collecting data? And maybe this data, could it be analyzed for future planning of agricultural farming?
Yes. So our tool, we have a tool which we call as automatic crop detection. So right now, for example, for US, last 20 years, we know each and every crop which was going on in the country. Based on that, we can very well predict what the crop production for maize, soybean is going to be in US. Similar, we've already covered Europe. Turkey is something we will be covering in next month. We've already covered Australia, Japan. So right now, for 70 countries, we exactly know what each and every farmer was growing for last 20 years. And based on that, we can easily predict what kind of food production is going to be there in the following years, because we have good training data available.
Thank you very much. Is there anything you want to add and tell to our spectators around the world and from Turkey and from Azerbaijan and Uzbekistan?
So thank you for giving us this chance to represent and explain Map My Crop, and just want to announce we'll be launching our platform in Turkey next month, so do check out on our website and hope to be there in person to launch it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Neil.
We need to stick together, we need to work together.
AgroTV ekranlarında size global tarım günlüğünü aktarmaya devam ediyoruz Tarım Elçisi programında. Ben Burcu Çetinkaya. Şu anda yanımda Hindistan'dan Amin Süleyman var. Kendisi Magic Mina şirketinin kurucularından ve bize gerçekten çok heyecan verici, teknoloji dolu ürünler var. Onları anlatacak. Hello, how are you, Mr. Süleyman?
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me here, and it's a pleasure to meet you.
It's a pleasure to meet you too. I mean, I would be very excited to see all these exciting products from Magic Mina, but unfortunately, because of some security issues, they're not here. But we are in Estonia. We are in the country of technologies as well, and it's a good coincidence that we met here. So, could you please tell me a little bit about your company?
Right, we are a startup company. We're based in India, and we are into aeromobility. We are primarily a research and development company. And we have been in inception since 14 months now, and we're based in Bangalore in India, and we also have a research and development and manufacturing facility in Coimbatore in India. And primarily what we do is we manufacture, we do research and development in aeromobility, drones, and we've started off with our primary base model, which is an agri-drone for agriculture purposes, for serving societal applications in agriculture.
So could you give us a little bit more detail about why this agricultural drone is special and what are the services that it can provide?
Right. As you understand and as you would know that India is primarily a huge agriculture produce country, and we have a huge number of farmers and land for agriculture purposes. And what has happened in the last 16-18 months in India is the government has been very proactive and very liberal to actually make the drones or technology easily available to the farmers to actually prevent a lot of issues which are happening when the farmers actually are in the farms spraying pesticides or fertilizing, and it's a health hazard for them. And this is one of the primary reasons where technology comes in play, and to help the farmers improve their lifestyle and improve the crops in the farms and the agriculture practice in India. So.
How about some specific details with the drones, like what is their battery life and how long can they stay in air? How easy are they to use?
What we call our drones as precision farming agriculture drones. So it's not only the pesticide problem which the drones can actually accomplish or remove or things like that. It can serve a lot of purposes actually. What the drones can do is they can actually, before even doing applications, they can geomap the area of your land. And they can then come up with the data, which is a real-time data for the land, the soil, the water needs, and the crop health, everything of that sort. And then we can put into applications where and what is necessary and how much quantity is required, which there can be a lot of human errors if we are doing manually. And because of this technology, we can cover so many areas in a very limited time. So you're saving labor cost, you're saving the health, of the farmer as well, and plus you are collecting data of your land to make improvements in the agriculture industry and in personal agriculture space, for the farmers. So what happens is our drones are capable of bringing in technology and bringing in improvements for if if you have a small holding, if you have 5 acres or 10 acres, we have drones for that purpose. If you have large land holdings, we have drones for that purpose, and we can tweak.
How many different types of drones you have, may I ask?
We primarily have 3 models of drones at the moment, but we can implement and we can tweak and we can actually make changes to the drone very easily and adapt to the customer's requirements.
And maybe which countries are you planning to sell your drones?
At the moment, we have started off with India. We've started in India, but we have a huge market in the GCC countries. We have a huge market in African countries. And of course, we are here in Europe to promote the drones here for European markets.
And lastly, I know it's not directly related to agriculture, but I've seen here, I want to go back, the skylift. It's called the skylift. So this is very exciting for me. I mean, if we can we tell our farmers that one day soon they can actually get a ride in their own skylift that they're parked in their garage, and if they want to go over their fields to check their fields, not from the screens but with their own eyes, but without walking, they could do it with their skylift. Is that possible?
It is definitely possible. This is the first time we are actually introducing the model and showing to the world actually an engineering model of aero car, actually flying car, which anybody and everybody can actually utilize it. It can be used for air taxis, it can be used for personal mobility, flying mobility. And yes, there are areas like in South Africa or in Europe, there are farmers who have hundreds and hundreds of hectares of land actually. And for them it is quite a convenient thing to actually sit from their garage and have an overview of their fields and facilities.
So how long can it stay in air?
It depends. Again, we are still working on the prototype, which is going to be ready next year. We believe that a flying time can be achieved for 40 minutes primarily in the initial stage.
And then recharging time?
Recharging time will be about a couple of hours, and yes.
And so thank you very much for all the information. We are very excited and we will keep on following all this information. Thank you.
Follow our website and our LinkedIn profiles where updates will be provided.
And maybe soon we will take a ride in Skylift with the drones in one of our biggest farms in Turkey and invite you maybe in Turkey. Yeah.
We also invite you for the launch. We'll invite the media for the launch next year.
Thank you. Have a great day. Evet, çok teşekkür ediyoruz ve devam ediyoruz Go Global Awards yayınımıza. So thank you very much, Mr. Minister, for having us here. We are very excited to be in Estonia, and Estonia is a country of amazing initiatives. And what are the main points of success that led to Estonia being the technology hub of the world today?
I think in general there should be three pillars. First off is the architecture. So in the public sector, we decided that we are going to use this X-road kind of architecture. That's the decision was made in the beginning of 2000s. And basically what it does that all public databases have actually the same kind of architecture, how they're connecting to each other. So there's a free flow of information that's also secure. This has led to a situation where nowadays actually more than half of the traffic on public databases is from private sector. So even startups can actually integrate with several governmental databases and provide new services for the citizens. The second pillar would be probably the electronic ID part. Of course, we started with identity card, ID card. It's basically the same as a passport. We can travel around Europe with it, but also sign all documents, log into our banks, and it has been so from the beginnings of 2000s. So our citizens have been very accustomed to actually getting these services in a fast way. And the third pillar would be actually our startups. I think this can all be tracked back to Skype, actually. And again, in the beginning of 2000s, they succeeded in showing the rest of Estonia, Europe, the world, that something really significant can come from a small country where there are smart people coming together and having a great, crazy idea. And we see that a lot of the unicorns that we have right now have sprung from actually ex-employees from Skype, because I think the education was already there. We had lots of great engineers, but the belief in ourselves that actually you can change the world from a small country, that's sprouted from Skype, and that's why there have been so many new unicorns here.
And when we think about 1991, when Estonia got its independence from the Soviet Union, it's not actually a very long time. But when I look at countries, I see a lot of synchronization problems and a lot of distance from the private sector and the government. And here it's not the case. Here I can see a very well synchronization and in a very short time. How did you achieve this, and how do you keep it persistent through time?
So the short answer and the secret is, if government should not be getting into the economics, don't get it. Don't go into it. Don't stop private sector doing their thing. So this is actually in Estonia, when government gets involved with economics, we have to prove that it's worth spending public money on. Actually, in many countries, it's vice versa. If there's any kind of problem in the economics, the government has to prove that we won't get involved. So I think that's one mentality, and I think Estonia has always its citizens have had a lot of pride in ownership. So during Soviet times, of course, this was taken away, but yearning for this was still lying underneath, and due to the fact that our early governments succeeded in doing a privatization of those nationalized companies and the infrastructure, then we actually succeeded in building up the private sector and actually getting foreign investments in and actually building the economy as we see it right now.
And is digitalization a power or a vulnerability? This is coming up quite a lot as a question, and we can see that how Estonia is leading also in NATO for cybersecurity. So how would you look into this in the future?
We see IT not as a goal, but as a tool. So there are a lot of places where IT can actually cut the costs down. So it's a purely economical decision to utilize. Of course, right now we see that more and more solutions and our databases and services have moved online. So again, we have more and more to defend there. So that means that we have to put more effort on cybersecurity. That being said, if we look at crises that we have had, Ukrainian refugees, COVID, all energy, all the solutions have been digital. And I think, again, going back to where Estonia started its IT nation sprout, I think it's based on the architecture, and if you have an architecture that enables you to actually react to all the crises in a fast way, then that's the best guarantee against the next crisis that we won't see coming.
With regards to the education system, you already said some details about it, but IT has been a major part of the school education system. So do you think that this has a high role in the success of Estonia with regards to this?
Absolutely. So already in the beginning of, or the end of 90s, we had a program called Look into the World and Tiger Jump, which programs actually went into the school systems at a young age and already introduced the new generation to computers and internet. And from there, again, we see a lot of those people who became later programmers. Their first contact and their first interest sprouted from those programs. And this continues today, but today we see that the focus has shifted. I think the focus now is more on cybersecurity. The threats that adolescents face in the IT world and in the internet, those things have to be talked about because, stuff that happens online stays online and forever.
You are also teaching cyber hygiene in the schools, right?
Absolutely. The same stuff that we're telling adults, for example, change your passwords, don't share your information. That same applies to children at a young age. But we see that mostly they're more already accustomed to what's happening online. So they have a stronger notion about the princes from Nigeria who want to give you a lot of money. But still people fall for that and this process.
Even in Estonia?
Absolutely. People are people. And those scams are not per se technical. They are still playing on human vulnerabilities. And that this is what we have to take into account in cybersecurity as well. Like you can build a technically very superb cybersecurity system, but usually it's the person who is the weak link, and our personal habits and interests and vulnerabilities, they have stayed the same for thousands of years. They will stay the same for thousands of years. What we can do is introduce what patterns have been used, how those vulnerabilities have been used against others, and hope that we take care of most possible scenarios.
So with 10 unicorns, I mean, Estonia's success per unicorns per capita is like amazing, and the whole world recognizes this. I want to ask with regards to entrepreneurship, a little bit I want to go to our industry because we are coming from the agricultural industry. So how about agri-tech businesses or agricultural businesses? Do you think that there is a rising interest with regards to this in Estonia?
Yeah, and we actually not only rising interest, but we also have had startups grow and be acquired in agritech for tens of years. So there's a lot of jobs that you can scale in agriculture as well, like the systems, how you monitor your lands, what crops to use. Many of the know-how knowledge that actually brings the level of attention a person has to have to work in agriculture down. And I think those are very scalable systems. As a whole, agriculture, agritech has been, I think, the gold standard on industrialization, and now probably also the next step in digitalization as we see it. And for example, in Estonia, with 100 years, the employment in agriculture has gone from 60% of the population to 3%, and we are producing more. If that doesn't talk about what tech can do, then I don't know what does. So yeah, absolutely. There's a lot of interest in digital, and as we see the population growing in the world, then of course we will need more efficient ways to actually harvest our crops.
And lastly, especially after Russia's aggression on Ukraine, we can see, also before with COVID, we can see the starting, the importance of food security, and having access to food is one of the major problems in the future. Yes, exactly. And for this, do you think that Estonia can be a leader in finding technological solutions in the future? Is there any studies with regards to this?
There have been a lot of studies in the universities what we can do in agriculture. I think IT startups, they are more focused on how to save time, and people know this is the classical way how to find a problem. Look where the farmer is spending the most time. This is where you can create the most value. If you cut down the time that people are so-called wasting on menial jobs, then you rise the added value from that one person, and this is of course where we can shine, because I think if you look at unicorns, where we have had them, there is no industry behind that in Estonia. That, for example, in Germany, you can say that the car industry is dominating. In Estonia, there's nothing like that except for IT. So what has happened is that IT has gone to every other industry and seen what can be done there and actually made it happen. So because we have this know-how, for example, in the technical field, what we can do in IT, and the second one would be that let's look for a problem where people are wasting their time, how we can cut that down, how can we scale that process up. So that's the unique advantage that will stay for Estonia for a long time.
And lastly, I was very happy to test the delivery robot, and I had a lot of spectators along with me as well. So just all the questions from my Instagram followers started coming up, can we try it? Can we bring it in Turkey? So
yes, yes you can.
So how about not just this one, but if any government or any municipality contacts Estonia, I'm not talking about the private sector, but the government level or the municipality level, are you cooperating with them? Are you doing know-how transfer?
So what we can do is our government doesn't want to be a middleman. Mm-hmm. So if other countries are turning to us and asking, hey, you're doing this awesome stuff, then we agree, yes, we are doing awesome stuff, and then we connect them straight to the private sector, because we just say that, hey, those guys are good, they're trustworthy, and you can talk to them, because then you will find the best way how to bring that knowledge, bring that solution to your country. And the government doesn't have to be playing telephone between them, because that makes the whole process only slower, nothing else.
Thank you very much for your time. Thank you very much on behalf of our spectators from Turkey as well, and hope to see you again.
Thank you. All the best.
AgroTV ekranlarında ben Burcu Çetinkaya, Tarım Elçisi programının da bu hafta sonuna geldik. Ve şu anda Estonya Talin'den sizlere veda ediyoruz. Son röportajımızı da Estonya'nın Girişimcilik ve Bilişim Teknolojileri Bakanı Christian Jarvan'la yaptık. Ve gerçekten tarımda teknolojinin önemine de değinen çok güzel mesajlar verdi. Haftaya bir başka Tarım Elçisi programında tekrar görüşmek üzere. Hoşça kalın.